Parliament concludes business of the second meeting of the 44th session by passing the Appropriation Bill of 2013-2014. And the Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament presents a report on the review of parliamentary standing orders. We have these and more in this final edition of Parliamentary Highlights. My name is Dalitso Chimwala. Parliament has passed the Appropriation Bill of the 2012-2013 as it concluded business for the just-ended meeting. Presenting the bill in the House, Finance Minister Dr. Ken Lipenga said the bill ensures that issues of accountability and transparency are adhered to by the current government.
That was done in March this year on all the votes as well as other recurrent transactions on a few selected votes. In terms of reduction, the most affected vote is the Department of Human Resource Management and Development, where all resources for the February 2013 salary adjustments were lumped. Other notable votes.
After the bill was presented, party spokespersons on financial matters made their contributions to the Appropriation Amendment Bill. First to rise was MCP's Member of Parliament for Lilongwe Mapuyu South, Joseph Njovialema, who supported the bill, saying it is well-intentioned as it spells clearly how government spent the money provided for in the 2012-2013 financial year. He, however, felt the bill should have been tabled earlier on to allow the entire membership of the House enough time to scrutinize the bill.
Finance. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, this is just to normalize what was already done. And, well, it has to do with what the Minister of Finance has called implementation dynamics. Indeed, in the course of the financial year, certain things came about vote by vote, and they could not spend the figures as approved by the National Assembly in the previous financial year. Of course, there are some cases which are indeed questionable, but I think the Minister of Finance already gave an explanation as to what happened, like the vote of state residences, which has 1 billion plus as an increase. There is the Malawi defense, 1 billion plus as an increase. I remember the Minister of Finance already gave explanations for this, including foreign affairs, which has 1.5 billion, and also Minister of Wealth, which has 2.6 billion. These are the major votes which have been affected, but everything else is indeed within the limit of what is called implementation dynamics. However, I might want to say something on the timing of the bill. I think this should have come probably last week, so that we were able to look at the bill, the figures in the appropriation bill, as we wind up debate, as we wind up the approval of the national budget, so that.
On its part, the United Democratic Front, through its parliamentarian for Machinga North-East, Atupere Muluzi, said the bill is a welcome development from government as it enhances prudent public finance management in the country.
As he proceeds to implement his budget in the next financial calendar year. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
In his winding up speech, Finance Minister Dr. Ken Lipenga thanked the whole House for passing the bill, saying their contributions to the matter under discussion will enhance accountability and transparency in the management of the country's resources.
That monies that we spend, regardless of where we spend, whether, Mr. Speaker, we spend them on the people of Palombe East, who are today represented by their chiefs and party leaders in the gallery, or anywhere else, it must be accounted for. And therefore, I want to thank everybody for their support.
Well, that's Finance Minister thanking the House for its contributions. A report on the review of the parliamentary standing orders has been presented to the House. Speaking as he delivered the report, Chairperson of the Legal Affairs Committee, Kes Msukwa, said the review will enable the Malawi National Assembly to keep pace with the Commonwealth parliamentary practices.
For instance, a statute cannot be suspended by an order or resolution of the House. An express order of the House can supersede another such order of the House, and an ad hoc order can suspend a standing order. Mr. Speaker, sir, the chief characteristics of standing orders is that they are intended to expedite the conduct of the business of the House, and they have express duration beyond the end of the session in which it is passed, or beyond a parliamentary term except for their amendment, suspension, repeal, or adoption, as the case may be, upon agreement by way of a motion.
Well, Kes Msukwa there, Chairperson of the Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament, saying this is the first time that Chitipa East has presented a report by the Legal Affairs Committee. Remember, you are watching the final edition of Parliamentary Highlights on MBC. Still to come, Parliament rises after 6 weeks of intensive business. As Speaker of the House, Henry Chimuntu Banda, congratulates the entire membership of the august House for transacting business of national importance. All this and more when the program returns. Moving the adjournment motion for the House to rise, Leader of the House, Henry Poya, commended his fellow parliamentarians for performing their duties in a manner that helped government to advance its development agenda.
Allow me to take this opportunity to express my appreciation to the entire political leadership of the House for the cooperation and direction it provided to me and the entire House during this meeting. Let me at the outset indicate that the manner in which we transacted business in this august House was generally cordial, friendly, frank, and constructive, which indicate that indeed our democracy has come of age in this august House. Most importantly, I wish to state that I'm greatly impressed with the amount of business transacted during this budget meeting. May I therefore commend all honourable members for their tireless efforts, which have yielded tremendous work which this House has produced during this sitting.
Responding to the motion as raised by the Leader of the House, Speaker of Parliament, Henry Chimuntu Banda, congratulated the entire membership of the House for transacting business of national importance. Let us see how the Speaker, in his usual charismatic way, allowed the House to rise.
Given new lease of life. So the current chairpersons, all of them, you remain in the chamber after adjournment from the honorable member for Mwanza Central, Honorable Daus, is asking members of Catholic. Well, he says there was a list that was circulated to Catholic members from the Catholic Secretariat, and is asking whoever is keeping it to present the same to him. And the shadow sports minister, not wanting to be outdone, he now sends the very final results. He says Malawi 59, Uganda 46. We join the House in congratulating the Flames. There was already a very loud applause, and the chair would like to join you, honorable members, in congratulating our team, but also to wish them well, because he continues. This is the shadow minister from the Malawi Congress Party. He continues to inform us that the finals will be between Malawi and South Africa at 4 p.m. today. South Africa has beaten Zambia 56-48. We hope the Flames, the parliamentary Flames, will ride on this loss of Chipolopolo girls and win in Lusaka. I think that brings us really to the end of announcements. Honorable members, I put the question on the motion as moved by the honorable leader of the House, that the House, I hear people clearing the throat. This is really just a formality. It will not change matters if it goes the way people think. Yes. Just as a formality, that the House should now adjourn, sign, die. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried, and the House has adjourned, sign, die. We congratulate you, honorable members, for having transacted business in the manner we have done. This is the longest recess before the dissolution of the House, and I wish you the best of luck in all your undertakings, including political undertakings. The House is therefore adjourned, signed, die.
Charismatic Chimuntu Banda there, adjourning the House. Well, after the House adjourned, the parliamentary team spoke to the leader of the House to give an overview of how business was transacted for the past 6 weeks.
I can describe these 6 weeks as having been time well spent, in the sense that for the first time, after a long time, we've been able to achieve quite a lot within a particular sitting. If you look at the amount of business we've been able to transact, it compares quite favorably to other previous sittings. So it's been a very good and a very fruitful 6 weeks.
Perhaps the conduct of the parliamentarians, how could you describe it?
The conduct still left a lot to be desired at certain points in the course of our deliberations. But overall, I think members are beginning to realize that they can convey their views without necessarily resorting to insults or other unruly behavior. I think that is becoming clearer and clearer as we go. So hopefully during our next sitting, this will become even more pronounced. There are just a few isolated cases now, and you can actually identify the members who enjoy to indulge in this kind of behavior. But the House as a whole has now moved towards having cordial discussions rather than resorting to insults, as used to be the case in the past.
With the budget passed and, of course, some related bills to the budget also passed and other bills as well, what's the way forward now?
The way forward now is for the executive branch of government to implement the budget, which was graciously passed by the House. That's what is remaining now, and I wish to undertake on behalf of government that the implementation process will abide by what has been discussed in this House.
Well, that's Henry Poya, leader of the House. Parliament has since risen sin die. Well, with that item, we have come to the end of parliamentary highlights for this sitting. We hope you have enjoyed every bit of the program that have come from the National Assembly. My profound appreciation to the parliamentary technical team for a job well done. And a special mention to my able producer, Chawezi Banda, for making my job very easy. Until then, I am Daritso Chimwala. I beg to move.